It's time for the Loco Sports Lowdown. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett, Wes Kerr, and Max Arraj.
Our intro was almost right and will be before the show is over if all goes well. Justin Jarrett and Max Arraj with you for a Wednesday night edition of the Loco Sports Lowdown. Wes Kerr coming in hot, in his own words, from the airport. Should be home around 9:20 and hoping to jump in with us. And should be right about time to talk week 1 or week 0 high school football previews. So we'll kind of shift into preliminary Loco pigskin preview mode. Next week will be kind of the launch of what is our fall season, I guess you would say, where we get into the nightly broadcasts and having the preview show on Thursday night and Loco Pigskin Live on Friday. But it'll be kind of like a dress rehearsal this week, and we'll start it off tonight with the lowdown, and then toward the end we'll kind of shift gears into more of a Loco Pigskin preview, miniature version. Let's put it that way. And then next week it'll be all systems go, because we're, as you'll note tonight, this show will start to take a little bit more of the form that I think we get used to when we're in season, when there's news every night, there's stuff going on. And it's like report the news of the day first, and then move on and talk in depth about other stuff. That's kind of where we're headed. I think this is kind of the beginning of the end of the calm before the storm. The storm is upon us. So last week of the sporadic broadcast will be every weeknight starting next week, as long as we can sustain it. There may be a night we need a night off here or there. But the plan is to do it 5 nights a week. So with whoever's on board, and we may have a new friend joining us tonight if he's able to, Tim Alonzo. We've been teasing that. Tim's going to be working with us this fall as a student contributor from Coastal Carolina University. So we're looking forward to that. We also may get a visit from Misa B. Trollin tonight. He said if he got home in time, he would jump on with us. So we'll see if we see Misa. I'll make sure he has the link, and we'll see if we can get him in here tonight. But we're expecting Wes Kerr in just a little bit. So looking forward to seeing him again. He's been out of town for a few days. How's your life, Max? You doing all right?
Yeah, doing good. I'm just excited, ready for the football season to begin on Friday. Well, I guess it's kind of already begun, but not really.
Yeah.
Not really, but
I'm excited to get to a football game on Friday. That's a different thing.
Yeah. I'm excited. Especially for Hill Neck Christian Academy, they play on Friday against Porter-Gaud. I think it's going to be a really, really good game to start off the season. So I'm excited to be there on Friday night, and all the other games going around coming up on Friday as well. And there's some good ones that we're obviously definitely going to be looking at and previewing for Friday, man.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little later on in the show, but we do have, you mentioned Hill Neck Christian hosting Porter-Gaud to kick off their state title defense, which it's going to be a tough test for them to run it back. But
much tougher schedule this year for them.
Never count them out. And we'll have some news about Ron Peduzzi that we'll share here in just a minute as well. Some really cool news about him and J.W. Wilkerson. But yeah, the other two are both Loco on Loco matchups, which we love those. Hilton Head Prep at Buford Academy, which could be interesting, and then John Paul II at Colleton Prep, which I think is very interesting. So, just kind of good litmus test games early on. Start to get a little bit of frame of reference and some context about who's got what and what we're looking at. So, definitely looking forward to that. And today was another day of teacher orientation for me, Jasper County School District. Go Canes, baby. I'll tell you this right now. I'll just say this. Whatever you heard about Jasper County schools, forget it. Forget it, because it ain't true. Like, there's some awesome people working in those schools, and I'm really excited to be a part of the team. And just listening to the people talk about their objectives for this year and the way we're going to go about things, they're preaching to me. It's like the kids are first. We are here to serve the children and get them the best outcomes that they can possibly get. And we're gonna do what it takes to get them there, and I'm excited to be a part of that. So very cool. But let's get our sponsors some love early on here before we get into the headlines. Our headlines presented by our MVP sponsors: Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of LowcoSports, and my wife. She's the official realtor of Loco Sports. She's with Keller Williams of the Low Country. And she'd love to get you in a new home in the Loco or upgrade to a bigger, better home. It's a great time to get in the market with Megan Jarrett, official realtor of Loco Sports, and my wife. Homegrown Home Inspections is our official home inspector. On Lucas's team are the best in the biz. And if you're building a new home, you got to have that phased inspection where they'll check on it every step of the way and make sure it's built right with Homegrown Home Inspections. Hospice Care of the Low Country is our official hospice provider, serving Southern Beaufort County and beyond, out into Hampton, Jasper, Colleton, taking care of folks with hospice care, palliative care, free grief counseling, and much more at Hospice Care of the Low Country, where it's not about dying, it's about living. And Mickelson Law Firm, our original sponsor since 2017, presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage, and our official real estate closing attorney. Mickelson Law Firm, we're relying on them since the beginning, so rely on them for your legal needs. And since we're on the subject of Hilton Head Christian Academy, presented by Mickelson Law Firm, we'll start there with our headlines, even though I think there's one that's probably a bigger headline overall as far as impact to the area. But Ron Peduzzi, the football coach, J.W. Wilkerson, the baseball coach, both won state titles last year, and both were named the National Coaches of the Year for their sport by the National Christian Schools Athletic Association. So I don't know that every Christian school in America is a member of that, but I would guess that there are many, 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 many.
Yeah, I have the
And,
details here. So
okay.
yeah, it's so the National Christian Schools Athletic Association is a nonprofit organization, and there's 500 national member schools in this organization. So that's a lot of schools, and to be named, for two coaches for Hilton Head Christian Academy to be named National Coaches of the Year is something very rare. I'm not sure if Christian Academy has ever had two National Coaches of the Year, let alone one.
I have no idea.
I have no idea, but very special, and really, I very much so deserving of it. I mean, Peduzzi taking the team that I don't think many people at the beginning of the year last season thought, hey, these are definitely state championship contenders, and he made that team fight the entire season after losing their first two games, and they didn't lose another game after that, and they really fought hard and they really showed up and ended up winning yet another state championship for Hilton Head Christian. And then you got J.W. Wilkerson. Man, that dude was on a grind for so many years for Hilton Head Christian Academy, and to finally get Hilton Head Christian Academy's first baseball state championship in 14 years. Both coaches, amazing guys, very much so deserving of the honors.
Yeah, and I'll let you peek behind the curtain for a second and say hats off to whomever wrote the nominations. Because as I learned when I was a college sports information director, a lot of times winning awards when you're splitting hairs between a bunch of really qualified candidates is about writing the most compelling nomination that grabs people and you go, wow, like telling the story, going beyond just what the results were and telling the story of how they coaxed the best out of their team or whatever. So credit to the PR folks or whoever was involved in helping craft those nominations or letters of support or whatever was involved, because it takes full team effort to get the recognition that, as you mentioned, is well deserved. But I'm sure there were many coaches who had deserving resumes and accomplishments this year too. So credit to the folks at Hilton Head Christian for backing their guys and putting together a good pitch and getting them the National Coach of the Year. That's a great thing to hang your hat on. I would certainly think that's the kind of thing that when you look back on your career as a coach, I mean, they'll all tell you that the wins and losses and the championships and things are great, but it's really about the kids and stuff. But man, it helps to have some accolades like that you can, put in your cap and feel good about. So congratulations to both those guys for their service to the community and the kids and their success on the field this year. Great job. Great year for Hilton Head Christian Academy. And going to be another great year for the RBC Heritage presented by Boeing, because it is going to be a PGA Tour signature event. Once again, we were a little concerned, because that was going to be a rotating thing. And we weren't sure that we would get to keep that status, which has afforded us the best fields we've ever had for this event. Because of the limited field nature where everybody gets paid. the plus the increased purse. So like everybody's getting paid and they're getting paid double. It really it removed that barrier that we used to have of the guys who were just out of gas after the Masters and had designed their schedule to run out of gas after the Masters and just didn't plan to come here. Now they plan for it, so they adjust their early schedule so that they're not out of gas after the Masters. They come here, and it was. I think we can all agree. Last year was, to me, it was the best Heritage we've ever had. It was the best Heritage ever.
100%. Yeah.
And I think a lot of things lent it to it. The limited field nature helped. It also allowed, the tournament has continued to do bigger and better build outs to be able to accommodate the fans better, but also to accommodate more fans in a more controlled environment, because you've got a lot more places where people congregate now, and that there's going to be big crowds at those places, and you can kind of control where the big crowds are and put them in the right places. So everything has, in the past, I mean, I've been covering this thing for 20 years almost. This will be my 20th, I guess, or 21st. Everything has progressed with this tournament in that time. And steadily, it gets better every year. They make little adjustments, minor adjustments, whether it's the parking or the shuttles or whatever. They just get better and better, and it's awesome to see them rewarded by the PGA Tour with this signature event status again, because it made a tremendous difference last year, and I'm sure it will again this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really showed how much it progressed when RBC took that main sponsorship deal for the Heritage, and took over after we lost the last sponsorship we had. And when they took over, I think the plan was, how do we make this better and better each year? And I think they've done that tremendously well as each year has gone by in this membership. So now the next thing would be the main sponsorship, because that's, I think, at the moment still kind of up in the air right now with what's going to happen. But
I don't know because I thought so too, but then I don't know what the timeline was. I need to touch base with the Heritage folks, and that's why I kind of cut you off. I don't want to speak out of turn because
no.
But if it is still up in the air, then this helps the tournament's cause tremendously. Because if you're gonna re-up, it makes it a lot more attractive to re-up for a signature.
Yeah, and I think adding that signature event, tour event, for another year even makes it more interesting. For anyone who's interested in, if RBC for whatever reason decides to up and leave that next sponsorship, there's going to be a lot of people saying, yeah, we would love to be the main sponsors for this. And I think that's really something special, because there was a time when not many sponsors were thinking, the RBC Heritage. There was a time and age where, we weren't sure if we were ever going to have the Heritage again.
It was scary for folks who are new to the area and maybe don't know what we're talking about. There was a year where there was no title sponsor for the Heritage, and the town really had to come together and put together a plan, and they had to basically fund the tournament for a year. Not just the town, but the town, the state, the county, all the stakeholders basically kicked in and funded. They sponsored the tournament for a year, and the PGA Tour was incredibly supportive, and that was unprecedented to play a tournament without a sponsor, but they allowed it, and thankfully they did, because if we had lapsed for a year, we might have never got that spot back on the schedule. But it allowed us to show potential sponsors how much it meant to the community. The community was willing to bootstrap and cover it for a year to keep it, and I think that was ultimately what landed us another sponsor. And I think you're absolutely right that this improves their leverage regardless. Because it will be much easier to attract a new sponsor with that signature status, because that all eyes are going to be on it, and that it's going to have the best players in the world. So exciting news for our golf tournament. It's such a great golf tournament, and
it is. It really
and
is.
I mean, we already figured Scotty's coming back to defend regardless.
Oh, I hope so.
But now
really
this means that everybody will be coming to gun for him too. So, he will. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's very rare that a player doesn't come back to defend a title anywhere.
I'll say this to anyone: the RZ Heritage is one of my favorite weeks of the entire year on Hilton Head because it's just so much energy, so just the vibe behind it, and everyone coming and visiting and watching it, and this past tournament was just so special because it was probably, like you said, it was by far one of the best RBC Heritage tournaments we've ever had, and for a heritage of this historical nature, because I mean this is one of the older events on the PGA Tour. I mean we've had this event on Hilton Head since
longest running at the same site, I think.
Yeah, it's been since the 1960s, I think.
Yeah.
When Arnold Palmer won the first RBC Heritage event or Heritage event, whatever you want to call it, and it's been such a great tournament to have on the PGA Tour for so many years, and to see it last as long as it has and continue, and now becoming one of the top events on the PGA Tour is really something special in and of itself.
The coolest thing about it to me is like the thing that used to kind of be the knock on the golf course. Oh, it's so short and tight. It's so short and tight. It just doesn't match today's game. That has become the plus. Now everybody's like so tired of these new wave golf courses that are just wide open and you got to smash it 300 yards everywhere, they relish the opportunity to put, like, this is such a rare gem now. When it used to feel kind of antiquated when that push first started, now it's become like retro, and it's cool again.
It's very,
so I love it.
It's by far on the PGA Tour, it's by far one of the most technical golf courses.
Oh God, yes.
That these golfers play on throughout the season. It is
easily that's why some of them don't like it, because like you really have to think your way around it.
Yeah, you have to know
you really have to execute and be precise. Because as they'll tell you, being in the fairway is often not enough. Like you have to know which side of the fairway you need to be in, because if not, there's a big old pine tree limb sticking out right in the middle of the fairway that you got to go around.
I think last year's tournament, this past tournament, it showed the world that Scotty Scheffler doesn't just hit the ball hard. He knows how to play a golf course and play it properly. Sir. And it showed everyone that, like, oh, this dude's on a tear. He's not stopping anytime soon. And he hasn't. He's gone on to win more events.
Scotty,
and a gold medal.
See him actually show some emotion after winning that gold medal?
Yeah,
we thought he was an emotionless cyborg, but he let it go, man.
I mean, like, what a year he's had, though. I mean, look at all the events that he has won this year. He's won, I think, six tournaments or plus this year, and a gold medal on top of that. And I think the most special thing is, for the first time ever, he got to win a gold medal and play for his country. I think that's one of the best feelings you can have, is winning a gold medal.
And he became a dad.
And he became a dad. I mean, what a year!
Scheffler, you're having the best year ever.
I know he's not slowing down either. I mean, this dude keeps on tearing it up on the courses, and it's so fun to watch.
He's still young. I mean, I don't think
I know. He's got a lot of years.
It's crazy to think that he might not have peaked yet. That's the scary part.
That's scary to think about.
If he hasn't peaked yet, then we're going to start having some serious conversations in a couple of years about
Oh, 100%.
That Tiger guy and that Jack guy. Like, I mean, we could be getting into that territory. But to caution you against getting too far ahead of the cart, we were close to getting into that conversation with Rory, and then he just stopped winning. Just stopped winning. So, it's hard to say. It's a fickle game, and it can definitely smack you in the face just as soon as you think you got it figured out.
Well, there was one point where we thought of that with Jordan Spieth. I mean, like, he won the Masters and then he won the U.S. Open, and everybody was like,
he looks like a wonderkin. Like, oh, this guy could win 20 majors.
Like out of nowhere, he just fell off the deep end, and hasn't really been the same ever since.
Yeah, you can't really extrapolate pace on
Yeah,
majors. It doesn't work that
but
way.
I don't think we've seen a golfer on a tear like this since Tiger Woods.
Well, we definitely haven't seen anybody have a season like this one since Tiger Woods was in his prime. I
Yeah,
mean, he's the best we've seen, the most dominant we've seen since then. I think that's safe to
yeah,
say. But enough heritage for August, I suppose. We'll get excited about that again when the calendar flips over to
yes,
2025. The dates, by the way, April 14th through 20th. So make sure to uh, book get your tickets because they did sell out last year. Like tickets were hard to get last year if you
yeah,
wanted one. So you could find one, but you had to work at it. You had to know somebody. It wasn't real easy to get one toward the end. So don't fool
yeah. I
around
would
this time. Don't fool around this time, and don't go asking your friends who work for the tournament for free tickets after they sell out. They told you to buy your tickets because it was going to sell out. Buy your tickets because it's going to sell out. All right. Um, let's shout out or a couple more headlines. Sorry, that's where I was. A couple volleyball results trickling in
yes,
from last night. The season is underway. May River with a 2-0 sweep of New Hampstead. Schedule had Hilton Head Prep there too, but I didn't see a result from that. So I think that was a miscue on the schedule entering. May River swept New Hampstead 25-10, 25-10. So impressive. Made quick work of them. Didn't play down to the competition. All those things. They'll get tested this weekend. They go to a tournament in Rock Hill on Friday. They will play Aiken and Gaston Day out of North Carolina. So
yeah.
they're going to see some good competition this weekend. Start getting ready for what should be a really fun region. And then John Paul II opened up last night at Veritas Academy in Savannah. They swept 3-0, 25-12, 25-22, 25-17. They
Ooh,
play Veritas again at home on Monday. So Luis Sanders' crew off to a 1-0 start.
interesting.
Volleyball season's here. You gonna get out and see
Yeah, man.
some V-ball?
I will definitely plan on doing that. I gotta look at the schedule because I know there are a couple days where I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to go out and hit up some volleyball games. I know I have the schedule somewhere
You
here.
let me know what nights you're available, and I'll find you something to go cover. But we are still trying to track down a few schedules. Not everybody has their
Yeah.
schedules posted up yet. That's the problem
Yes.
early in the season is we start getting results for games we didn't know were being played. So it's hard to go out and
Yeah.
cover them if we don't know they're being played. But so volleyball season's underway. There's a long way to go. It's very early. They play a lot of games too, so they'll play a lot of early non-region stuff. And by the time region season rolls around, we'll have a good idea about who's the top in the area, and we'll definitely get out and see them live a good bit. Plus, we'll get a lot of good Lowco and Lowco matchups in region play. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that. And then one other headline. Actually, I'll save that for parting thoughts at the end. So varsity
Okay.
sponsors, DDS Web Design, building, hosting, and maintaining websites for businesses and nonprofits to get results. So if you need to get found online so you can do more and think bigger, go to ddshhi.com. Parker Law Group serves legal needs across Colleton, Hampton, and Jasper counties. So if you want to get found online so you can do more and think bigger, go to Parker Law Group. That's the DDS Web Design. Man, I just spaced out. It's been a long day, Bo. This starting work at 8 o'clock thing is got me off my game. Parker Law
Uh,
Group, they serve legal needs across Colleton, Jasper, and Hampton counties, as I said, but they won't get you found online. They will get you legal representation, though, and they're helping us expand our coverage into those counties and shine a light on more deserving teams and student athletes around the Lowco. Dr. Ambrose Coles, our official chiropractor of LowcoSports. You can find him at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right, mind, body, and spirit. And he'll teach you something too. You'll learn something about your body every time you go see Dr. Ambrose, I promise. Reverence Wrestling Club, the official wrestling sponsor of LowcoSports and presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind, bringing the wrestling news from around the Lowco. You can take your skills on the mat to the next level at Reverence Wrestling Club. Those are our varsity sponsors. Misa called out. He's not going to make it home in time. Tim must have
ah,
gone to bed. And Wes, he might still be coming in hot from the airport. We're not sure. But you got Max
yeah.
Arraj, you got Justin Jarrett, you got all you need here on the Loco Sports Lowdown. So let's talk some high school football because week 0 is
Yes.
here. We mentioned the games at the outset. We'll preview them in a little more depth now. Porter Gout at Hilton Head Christian Academy, John Paul II at Carleton Prep, Hilton Head Prep at BA. We'll start with your boys. Hilton Head Christian Academy coming off a state championship, but only 3 starters returning each side of the ball. They do have some key guys on special teams. Ian Kelly can definitely kick a game-winning field goal for you if you need it, or boot one at the end of the half to steal 3 points, which is huge. But there's a lot of questions on this team. It's like, you're basically like, all right, our guys who played JV 2 years ago and were backups on varsity last year, like, you're sliding the whole unit in there almost. So it's going to be interesting to see them early on and see how they fare as Wes is coming in hot, baby. He's almost here. It's going to be interesting to see what they look like. What are you kind of most eager? Wes Kerr, come back.
Oh.
Come back, Wes Kerr.
Come on,
Where'd you
man.
go?
Get there. Come on.
Left. There he is.
There we
What's
go.
up, buddy?
There we go.
We just finished up our other stuff, and we're starting to talk about high school football. And I was asking Max, Hilton Head Christian Academy, what are you most, kind of eager, anxious to see Friday night?
There's a lot because this is a very, very young team this year. Young, a little inexperienced. I think the offense is going to be there. The question I'm having right now, and it was kind of the same question that I had for Beaufort Academy the other night while I was watching their game against Northwood, was the offense looks like they have potential, but the questions are, what does the defense look like for Hilton Head Christian this year? And, I just don't know what to expect from their defense. And honestly, last season was kind of the same thing. I didn't know what to expect from their defense last season. And then out of the blue, their defense showed up and just absolutely went on a tear against opposing offenses. But I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. I see them making the playoffs. I just don't know how far they're going to get because I just don't know what to think about this team yet because I haven't seen them play yet, and I don't know what to expect.
There's a lot of unknowns.
I'll tell you one thing. I know there are a lot of unknowns. I'm not betting against Rompaduzzi.
Oh, heck no.
He has shown he can take a team that is lacking in several areas, or a team that's inexperienced more so, and find a way to get the most out of them. It's kind of what you see about the great college coaches, the great NFL coaches. Sometimes you have years you don't have the talent, but you make the most of it, and you find a way to utilize who you have and to get yourself in position to contend when it matters. In this case, in November. So I don't doubt this team in terms of big picture. Now they're going to take their lumps. They're going to take their lumps.
It's going to be a really good game against Porter.
I don't expect too much out of them this week, but as you look big picture, I think this team is going to become its own identity and kind of shape itself into a squad that will make use of who they have. And I think there's a lot riding on the shoulders of these younger guys. There's a tradition here. There's a big tradition of the Christian Academy. I mean, you're looking at 3 state championships.
An expectation. There's an expectation.
The other thing for Hilton Head Christian is, Porter Gout's not the only tough opponent they have on their schedule this year.
Not at all.
Looking down, you got the defending 2A state champions in Bethesda Academy. You have the defending 4A state champions in Hammond, at Hammond, by the way. That's going to be a difficult game. You got Pinewood Prep, and I know they're looking forward to that game. You got a lot of tough opponents. And then, to finish off the season, you got a game against Hilton Head Prep, which actually this year, I have a feeling this year it's going to be a very sneaky Hilton Head Prep team. Like, I think they're getting to that stage where they can start kind of competing and stuff. I look at Hilton Head Prep and Hilton Head Christian as like a potential, like, kind of maybe, because I think the last few years or so, we've seen Hilton Head Christian Academy basically make Hilton Head Prep their doormat, and it's unfortunate just because Prep just hasn't had the talent and the greatest coaching, I guess, would be the way to put it. But I think this year, if you want to compare it to maybe college football, like, think of it as the Georgia Tech rivalry. Like, you know who's going to win, but the question everyone asks is, how much are they going to win by. But I think the difference this year is
how much can they close the gap?
How close can how close can they keep this game?
Can they make it?
Right.
It's going to be a close game this year.
Yeah, like you feel like they should close the gap somewhat, maybe significantly. But can they close it enough to like be in the game? That's kind of the question. How far can Prep progress through the course of the year? I think is kind of my big question with them. They're going to win this year.
Like I want to see how Prep does against Buford Academy on Friday.
I do too.
They're going to win some games this year. I want to see how they do against Buford Academy.
I do too. Real quick before we move on from the Hilton Head Christian game, though, Porter-Gaud 9-3 last year, really solid squad, and they return some dudes. Their top rusher Jamal Flood is back. He rushed for 2,172 yards and 35 touchdowns, averaged 10.4 a carry last year. I don't know how much of the offensive line is back. So that would be, who was blocking for him and how many of those guys are back. But he's obviously got some serious juice, and he'll be running the ball. And then the quarterback is dangerous too. Nolan Schumann, he'll be back. He rushed for 631 yards and 7 touchdowns last year, passed for 644 with 6 touchdowns and 4 picks. So pretty effective dual threat guy and a really, really good running back. So I think that young Hilton Head Christian defense is going to have its hands full against Porter-Gaud. But, if they can force some turnovers, bend but don't break and give their offense a chance, I do think McCollum is going to be really good. And I think they'll be able to get some points on the board. That dude is going to be fun to watch. How many? Yeah.
The other thing I'm trying to figure out is I can't figure out what their region is like for Christian Academy, because I know JP2's in their region, but
so I can tell you their region. It's HHCA, JP2, First Baptist, Palmetto Christian, and Pinewood Prep. So it's, I think Pinewood is pretty clearly the favorite, and then I would say HHCA kind of second favorite. But I think the gap between them and JP2 may be fairly narrow.
Palmetto Christian won't be in the conversation.
They won't be in the conversation, and First Baptist is way down. It all swung when what Northwood's gain was their loss.
Palmetto Christian, I think Palmetto Christian's coming off of a 1-win season last year.
Yeah, they're not competitive.
Yeah.
So it's really in HHCA opens region play with Pinewood Prep, and that game probably decides the region title. Most likely.
Although I do see being the 2 games against JP2 being a little interesting this year.
Very interesting. Although
only one's going to count for region.
I don't think JP2 is going to win. I think Christian Academy has the advantage, but I think there'll be 2 real close games.
Here's what I'll say though.
Well, the first one maybe you play
Christian Academy more than it helps JP2 to play twice, because they have a more experience.
For sure,
more
coaching advantage is right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I'm not knocking JP2 staff. I'm just saying HHCA staff is like stacked. Like they got multiple former head coaches. It's a quality staff. So I think them seeing them twice, I think that's edge HHCA. So
with Steve Fuller over there back at Hilton Head Prep.
Yeah,
that's a pretty solid coaching staff as well.
That is going to be really fun. And so let's use that to transition to BA Hilton Head Prep. Which, Wes, is that where you're planning to be Friday night?
I believe so. Yeah, obviously only 3 games, so you have the one big
that was where you would.
That's
would want to be.
The all Lowco game. You got Hilton Head Prep against Buford Academy. Although I am intrigued by Hilton Christian, to see how they perform, but I think the game of the week in this first 3-game slate is absolutely going to be over there at BA. Great. First of all, what an atmosphere that is. They love high school football over there.
Yeah.
They have been one of the most supportive fan bases for LowcoSports, and can't wait to kick off the football season over there at BA. Should be a great night, but I am just excited to see, of course, Buford Academy, really Hilton Head Prep. I'm not sure what you're going to get with them, but I think with the coaching staff that they have, I'm interested to see where they're at to start things off.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I'm very eager.
Yeah,
I think
I'm very eager to see them.
They're the team with like the question with everyone's thinking like, where are they going to sit this year? How are they going to play? Because we just haven't seen a prep football team be competitive over the last 2-3 seasons. Right. And I really do like prep this coming season. Now, they don't have the easiest of schedules, but I do see them being a team that can get maybe 3, 4, possibly 5 wins on the year.
I think that's possible. I think it all hinges on
that's a ceiling for sure.
These first 2 games.
Yeah, so they got Beaver Academy and then they got St. Andrews.
How they play against BA is important, win or lose, because they need to beat St. Andrews. And I say that because they've lost 24 in a row. And they have this renewed spirit. The kids believe that it's going to be different this year. But, man, the longer you wait to get that first win, the more it starts
you want
to
get one early. That would be everything to get one early.
Year. And they got Bethesda after St. Andrews, and that's going to be a tough test. And then again, and that starts region play for them. So, I think they need to win that St. Andrews game, and I think to do that they need to play well against BA. They need to have some positives to take out of that.
Agree.
And if they play well against BA, I think they may have a chance to win that game. I think it's feasible.
I agree.
It should be a tight one.
I think. They
they're going to have to play well, but it should be a close game.
I think it could be a close game. I don't know that it should, but it could be.
I think
possibly, but
I'll say this:
circle. Like if we get that one, then everything changes. After getting that first,
if they get that one, you start reevaluating
feel like
the
you
metric.
can put something together this year.
The other thing is following Bethesda Academy, the schedule doesn't get any easier. I mean, you got Dylan Christian, Christian Academy of Myrtle Beach. Don't know what they look like this coming season. Then you got a PD Academy team who was really good last year. You got JP2. That should be a very, very interesting game between those 2 teams. Then you got Palmetto Christian, and then you got Hilton Head Christian to finish off the season. So that's not an easy schedule. That's a very difficult schedule.
It's a lot easier than what they had last year,
though. They're not in the same classification anymore.
I agree with you, Justin. It's a lot. I think it's a little bit better of a schedule for them this year.
It's far more manageable for them.
Well, 2A is a lot better. 2A is a better spot for prep.
If you can beat St. Andrews, which doesn't really, it's a non-region game, non-division game.
Right.
If you can win that game going into playing Bethesda, the defending 2A state champions, and find a way to pull out a win against Bethesda, you're going to be a lot better off in region play. And
I think Coach McFadden he'd love to be 3-0, but I think he just needs one.
Just find a way to get one.
He can just get one out of those first 3.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, I think more likely, I don't know what St. Andrews looks like this year, so I would say.
Well, they're out of Edwards's, so you got a shot.
Edwards, you're all good.
Fresh out of Edwards's, so you got a shot. That's all I know. So I think they've got a shot. I really do. And Wyatt Harmer, he's funny, man. He's a
chip on the shoulder kind of kid.
He's gotten bigger and stronger. They just got 2, as I understand it, they just got 2 kids from May River, baseball kids, and I don't know if they intend to play football, but one of them, if he does, he'll be a difference maker at Skeeza. And both of them, honestly, if they play football, they'll be difference makers at Skeeza. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm also still hearing about faces in new places. Like Eddie Gonzalez transferred from BA to Whale Branch. And, so we're still going to find out about some of those that we haven't heard about yet. Other people know about them, people in camps know about them, but we don't. And some of those will become apparent to us too. As soon as the games start, we'll go, oh, I didn't know he was here. I learned about a new one today too. Jayshawn Williams from Buford Academy to Hampton County, where he is zoned because he's from Yemassee. And Jayshawn Williams is a young man that they're talking about. In a couple of years, we'll be talking about him like the boys that graduated last year. And that's some high praise. So they got some guys coming. Lil Catman, Catman's brother is also coming out of for Hampton. So I've been texting with my friends over there, and I got a new coworker at Hardyville High School who worked at Hampton last year as well. So we were talking about those guys. So those guys start the year ranked number 3. But we won't
number 3 in the preseason poll, Hampton County for 2A. Number 3.
We won't get a look at them until next week. But on Monday night, they are going to do a live interview Q&A situation with Coach Rob Hanna at Hurricane Sports Cafe. So I'm going to try to see if there's any way I can clear my schedule and get out there and possibly even see if we can team up with them and stream that thing on the Lowco Media Network. So that would be very cool if we could do that. Hurricane Sports Cafe joining us as a sponsor this year, by the way. Lowco Booster Club. We appreciate those guys. Me and Max been salivating over the prospect of going to eat at the Hurricanes the last few shows while you were gone, Wes. We can't wait. So BA against Hilton Head Prep should be an interesting one over on Ladies Island, and they have, for my money, the best concessions in all the land. I mean, they're literally frying up fish and shrimp on the sidelines. It's awesome.
Oh man,
awesome.
I agree.
And they got the
I'm
grill
gonna have to come hungry for that one.
With stuff. You show up hungry. Go see Patrick Mitchell. Let him know you're with Lowco. He'll take care of you. And then last but not least, by any means, in fact, for me, it's the game of the week. John Paul II at Carleton Prep.
That's going to be a great game.
A really, really interesting game. Really good matchup. JP2 obviously replacing the do-everything quarterback, Christian Tilton. But Carleton Prep replacing the do-everything quarterback, Cole Davis, who, by the way, walked on at Alabama. And I don't think he's got a number. Like, I don't think he's on that active roster.
Good for him. Good for him. You know, sometimes
that man is a Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Well earned.
Absolutely. He's a dog. He's an absolute dog. I don't know what they intend to do with him. I'm guessing DB, free safety, let him run downhill and knock somebody's head off like Colton Ferris does. Anyway, JP2 Carleton Prep breaking in 2 new quarterbacks. For JP2, it's Connor Brown, who we talked with at Media Day, and I was really impressed with him. He seemed to really have a good grasp of what his role is and understand that it's not to be Christian Tilton. You know, he's not that guy. He's going to manage the game. He's going to get it to his guys that can make plays and try to get them in advantageous situations, short yardage situations. So, and they've got some guys around him. Brian Jolly had a good year running the ball last year. Jackson Sanders, good receiver. They got some other guys they're excited about. They're pretty strong up front. Their defense is really solid in the trenches. Got some question marks, linebacking core and DBs, but I think they'll be okay. Beyond Christian, they didn't lose a whole lot else. That's the silver lining. But Christian it's like losing 3 guys because he was so impactful on offense, defense, and special teams. So, a lot of questions as far as what that looks like. And then on the Carleton side, they'll have Walker Bryan coming back, and he'll be getting the majority of the carries, it looks like. He also anchors them on defense. They got some good guys back up front, Kason Warner and Stephen Crosby anchoring the line. But they've lost quite a few as well. Caleb Davis also, the running back, is gone. Obviously, the twins both graduating. He's at the Citadel. And they had a really tough offensive and defensive lineman named Drew Rushton. They call him Cowboy, who graduated as well. So they've got some holes to fill. We've seen how solid that coaching staff has been at kind of reloading the last couple of years. So I expect them to be very competitive. But I think this game's very much up for grabs. It's one of those who executes the best, who takes care of the football kind of things. And I'm eager to see.
I love this like such an evenly matched game.
I think if you're
first week of the season, 2 teams we don't know much about, and now we get to kind of see what they're made of early on and who takes the initiative to get the upper hand in this first game. I will say I was very impressed with what Shane Milligan did. Started his tenure over here at JP2, even though the Golden Warriors had the couple. I mean, obviously you saw the injury from Christian Till midway through. That definitely hurt. But when JP2 was at full strength, and you saw what some of those kids did, they were competitive. They stayed in some games that I thought they shouldn't have stayed in, and were competitive throughout. And so I think a lot of that due to the exceptional job that Coach Milligan did early on with this team. So I'm excited to see what he does this year. But for Carleton Prep, they have been year in, year out very, very competitive. And I mean, a couple years ago, making that state championship game with Coach Langdale, that's a great program. And I can't say enough about how good that program has been for football. Tremendous job that coaching staff has done. And now who's good? An opportunity for some other guys to take the reins now. You lose Cole Davis, Caleb Davis. I mean, those guys have been such an instrumental parts of that team. But at the same time, now you get this next group of players to see what they can contribute. And I just think it's been a really exciting opener. You kind of don't know what's going to happen, and two teams that are trying to kind of cement their claims for being a strong squad early on. It's kind of things that I like about these first actions of a season.
That
so
game
far. You just don't know what's going to happen.
That game could be over by 9:00 too. Because both of them are going to run the ball. So that one could go pretty quick as long as we don't have a lot of penalties. But sometimes those refs, they gotta get up to speed, so they like to call a lot of penalties that first week. Make sure they remember how to throw their flag. Eventually they'll get tired of bending over and picking it up, and so they'll let some of those go. But early on, they like to throw them a lot.
I think both BA Helmet Prep and Carleton Prep JP2 are going to be two really great games, and I'm excited to see how those two go. Looking at Carleton Prep's schedule, not an easy one this year for them. They got Thomas Hayward on the schedule. They got Patrick Henry on the schedule. They got Calhoun Academy. Calhoun Academy can have teams at times.
That's those four: BA, Carleton Prep, Patrick Henry, Thomas Hayward. Man, that round robin, that's going to be electric. And then
you look at JP2's schedule. You look at JP2's schedule. Theirs isn't easy either. Like they're basically kind of following Hillman Christian Academy's schedule too. They got a lot of the same opponents.
Yeah, I think that's why they had to play each other. Because they both scheduled all the opponents they could schedule, and then there was nobody else to match up with.
Because Christian Academy's got the 4A state champions. Well, JP2 has the 4A runner-ups in Lawrence Manning Academy, which is the next game on the 23rd. I believe it's at home against Lawrence Manning, so that should be a very, very interesting game for JP2. Probably will show what their strengths and weaknesses are.
And then they got Battery Creek, and Battery Creek to me is sort of a lot like Hilton Head Prep in a sense, but in some ways they're sort of like JP2 because it's year two of new coach. Year one, it's hard to draw a whole lot of conclusions, especially with both those guys. They got hired kind of late, or Milligan didn't get hired late, but he got here late because he was finishing out the school year. So both of them were kind of helter skelter last year and had injuries galore. So that game on the 30th is super interesting to me.
Also, the Christian Academy, I think that Christian Academy Battery Creek game could be interesting as well. I think both those games against JP2 and Hilton Christian are going to be really fun. I am definitely going to that game between Hilton Christian Academy and Battery Creek because I think it's just a very interesting game, and I'm sure probably WHI will cover that game.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've got their schedule somewhere. I need to look it up and get it added to our schedule. Which games are the WHA game of the week?
It's a bit of an unusual game. I don't know if I've ever seen Christian Academy play Battery Creek before.
Oh no, I'm certainly have never.
Well, that's cool to see these new matchups.
Yeah, first,
not seen before.
I agree.
And to have these crossover games between high school league and SKISA schools, because it kind of helps us compare and contrast these teams early on in the season and kind of see, this team lost so-and-so, or, if one of these teams put up a good fight against another, you kind of see where they're at. And for Battery Creek and for Coach Susie, who did a good job laying the foundation, just unable to really keep it going. Although that's what they did early in the year, I thought was really impressive. They put up a strong fight, and you kind of got to see the framework of where this team could be, and now can you take that next step?
Like they let they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory against Ridgeland early on, and that ended in a crazy overtime.
That was a
game,
wild
by the
game.
Way. Just an insane game. One of the most exciting games I've ever covered.
Yeah.
And then Ridgeland turned out to have a pretty good season.
Yeah, they did.
So I think as you looked back on that, you were like, dang, Creek was right there. Early on, they were right there, and then the injuries set in, and then I think they lost buy-in at some point when it was going the wrong direction. But Susie, he was really upbeat at media day, really encouraged by the commitment that he's seen, the commitment to the weight room in particular. They have an incredible new weight room over there, and they're taking advantage of it. They were real young on the line last year, so they can only go up. Chase Olsen getting hurt midseason just killed what they wanted to do, because that made Damian Freeman have to play quarterback and took him out of the backfield, and it just really decimated them. So I like the pieces they have. I don't know if they have enough depth to really be competitive throughout the year. It could be kind of a repeat of last year, where they have some results early and then it slides away from them because of injuries and lack of depth. But they'll be interesting, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for a better season over there. So those are the 3 games on tap this week. Picks. Hilton Head Christian. Everybody on Hilton Head Christian. Everybody on Porter Goud against Hilton Head Christian.
Yeah,
I got Porter Goud. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Everybody on BA, or anybody taking Hilton Head Prep?
Oh, I will take. Oh, I don't know. I think I might take Prep in this one.
Really?
But I honestly don't know what to think about Prep right now. But I will go out on a limb, and I'll take Hilton Head Prep over Buford Academy. Although I think if they do win, it's gonna be a 3-point game. It's gonna be really close.
I think there's a chance it could be close. I will go with the home team and coach for the Buford Academy,
enough.
But Hilton Head Prep, I expect them to make a game out of this one, and to find a way to establish what they need to do, especially on the line, because that's a team that has had trouble finding depth up front, and if they can find some other guys to step in that area, that could be huge. Then I'm interested to see how Wyatt Harmer does, because I've seen some good signs of him from the games I've covered for Hilton Head Prep. So, there's a lot of that. Yeah.
He's a
like I said, chip on his shoulder
really
kind of guy. Don't count him out. Especially if it gets close, that's kind of the guy who could take it over and find a way to get the job done. Now, this is a Hilton Head Prep team that there are a couple guys that you lost from this past year, especially defensively.
AJ Barger.
Barger was the guy. I mean, he was the go-to target out wide. So I'm not sure if they're going to have. It's going to be hard to replace a guy like that, wide receiver and defensive back. He was on both sides of the ball. So we'll see who they have. We'll see who they've been able to recruit over there. Hilton Head Prep, certainly that's been the issue the last few years, is haven't been able to generate the numbers that they need to succeed. They are moving down to 2A. They were at 3A, so maybe a little bit easier for them, although there's still some strong talent in 2A. I mean, there's no easy game on this schedule. There are a few easy games at all on the schedule. You look at PD Academy, St. John's Christian, Bethesda, even squads like Myrtle Beach Christian, Dillon Christian. Those are all you're going to have to perform to beat those guys. And this is how you set the tone week 1 or week 0, whatever you want to call it. Certainly not week 1, but
I don't think there was a single game on the schedule last year where one of us would have picked Hilton Head Prep.
Yep.
No. I don't think there was. There are several just starting right now, including Buford Academy, where one of us is picking.
They are like my Carolina Panthers, who are not favored any of the 17 games.
Yeah. Well, I think they will be this year, though. I really do. I think it's a far
not
more
against
favorable
my Falcons. They're not.
Yeah. I didn't mean the Panthers. I meant the
I thought you would say Hilton and Prep.
Like,
yeah.
Prep will be favored in some this year if there were odds makers for such things. All right, so the tough one now: JP2, Carleton Prep.
Oh, God, crap.
That's the tough one. It really is.
Tough one.
Especially early in the season where you don't know too much about either of these teams.
It makes it tough.
Cale Owens, by the way, will be your quarterback for Carleton Prep. He got a little bit of time last year. He ain't bad. He ain't Cole Davis yet, but he ain't bad.
Right. It's a toss-up game.
I think I'm taking JP2. Just return a little more up front, but man, I don't know. It is truly it's a
team always shows up.
I
really like how
you know what?
How they play
I'm already
waffling.
Season. I'm already waffling on it. I'm going Carleton Prep.
I'm going Carleton Prep.
And they never let you down.
I've seen it before. I've seen it before early in the year where this team will put the foot on the gas and just lay it on the opponents.
Yeah.
And with the same coaching staff, I don't think that changes, although you have different personnel. You have a JP2 side that returns it, but of course they lost their top guy too in CP4 CT4. I almost said CP3 there. I'm trying to say
C3PO. C4PO.
I'm gonna have to go Carleton Prep on this one. I just feel like I don't know, something about Carleton Prep. They just always show up whenever they need to, and they always have solid football teams. I don't know if I've ever seen the year where Carleton Prep has had like a really terrible football team.
They had a couple down years a while back, but man, it wasn't many. It wasn't many.
I mean, they finished 8-4 last year. That's real solid.
They got tough kids out there, man. They're tough kids, and I said I was leaning JP2, and if they were playing a month from now, I might take JP2, but you know what changed is I remembered 2 years ago, the year that they made that run to the state championship game, when we weren't expecting a whole lot out of them coming into that season, and they laid a whooping on a really good Florence Christian team in the first game of the season, and we were like, whoa, hello, Carleton Prep, and then they ended up making a run to the state championship game. So remembering that made me go, you know what, Carleton Prep at home.
That's exactly
these guys been working all summer.
I
think they're going to come out.
That is one of the toughest places to play, because I played there a couple times when I played middle school football, and it was difficult playing middle school football over.
I think PD's worse. I think PD's is Carleton Prep on steroids.
Oh, dude, PD is so.
That is a hostile environment.
So hard to play there.
That's hard to play over there. Yeah.
Hostile environment. It's tough there. Thomas Hayward's pretty tough too. Hayward's pretty tough.
Hayward's.
They get rocking.
Patrick Henry, they have a great turnout.
They're going to be rocking at Hayward this year because that team's going to be good, and they're excited.
I think they might be the favorite. In all honesty, they might be the favorite in that class.
I think they are hands
down. There's nothing like Thomas Hayward football games, man. Seriously, there is.
I wish the lights were better for photos, but other than that, the vibes are good.
I feel like people don't talk about enough for home field advantage is, believe it or not, and I'm not being biased here, but Hill Lake Christian. I always feel like their home field advantage.
They are. Yeah, the cage is one of the best environments in
Lowco.
It's right up there with the best.
And I'll tell you, all the way back to when they played at the old MC Riley Field back in the old days.
Oh my God, that's a trip back.
They had a great environment out there too. It was a sketch bleacher situation.
It
was all enclosed with trees, and the sound stayed in there. It was.
I have some nostalgic memories on the field on the island. That's when that was the first assignment I ever had when I first came here to work with Lowco, and that was just some magical evenings over there at Hilton Christian Academy on the island field. Some tremendous playoff games with Shin and Peduzzi and those guys.
Oh, I have countless great memories of games at that place. Matt Lehman, coming back and taking on Hilton Head Christian.
Dude,
so many great quarterbacks going head to head in that rivalry. Just terrific, especially when it was Paducey against Lewis. It was amazing.
Oh my God!
Speaking of home field advantages, Hilton Head Prep has the best low-key home field advantage because you got to play in the middle of the dang afternoon in a swamp.
Yeah,
that makes some games.
Man. I mean, like these private school football games are no joke, man. When it comes to home field advantage, it is
great fan base.
Some of the craziest stuff I've
not just here, but around skis in general. They
because they're all designed so you can back your pickup truck up and put a lawn chair in the back of it and hoot and holler in the end zone. Like it's wild and crazy.
Shoot some fireworks in the end zone. All that.
It's like part football game, part NASCAR race. It's wild. I love it. He's a football. But it's here, boys. It's here, boys. Let's shout out our Lowco Booster Club and bring this thing in for a landing.
I got some.
Court Lifestyle Pros, Daniel and Debbie Court are Lowco natives with Charter One Realty who want to bring you home to Hilton Head Island. Eagle Creations has promotional items and custom apparel, including the new Lowco swag shop. I'll drop the link in the comments if anybody wants to get hooked up with some Lowco swag. Eagle Creations can also get you set up with your own swag. Go check out their spot on Argent Boulevard to see what they can do for you over there. They got all kinds of cool stuff. They can laser engrave cups and cutting boards, like all kind of cool stuff. Barefoot Floor Care of the Low Country. Chris Odom, get your floors so clean your feet will thank you. Jay's Barbershop is the place to be in downtown Ridgeland, whether you need a haircut or not. Go in for the great conversation and come out looking stylish at Jay's Barbershop. Hudson Seafood House on the Docks, presenting sponsor of the Under the Bus podcast. New episode out on the Lowco Media Network. Go check it out. It was a great one this week with the fellas wrapping up the Olympics, putting a bow on that, talking a little NFL training camp. Curry shared a crazy story about a guy named Moondoggy from Los Angeles that you'll want to hear about. All kinds of fun stuff. Hudson Seafood House on the Docks, making it possible, and that's a great place to spend your brunch or your evening sunset, getting some food and some cocktails. And our newest Lowco Booster Club sponsor is Hurricane Sports Cafe out in Hampton. If you're passing through or if you live out that way, it's a great spot to grab dinner. They got some great lunch specials as well out at Hurricane Sports Cafe. Can't wait to get back out there. And if you want to hear from Rob Hanna live and in person, go out there Monday night to check it out. That should be fun. One note real quick, Marcus Walsh clarified the schedule for us. They'll open on the 30th with Beaufort, Battery Creek, JP2. Then they'll have Creek again against Beaufort. JP2 against Hilton Head Christian Academy, the region matchup in October. THA and BA as well. And they're going to have some, they're going to have them games that they call in studio. They go out and film it and then record the play-by-play later. Bluffton, May River, Hilton Head, May River, and Bluffton, Hilton Head. So you got the Lowco trifecta right there. That'll be good.
Yeah.
So a lot of good games on tap, and I'm sure on the weeks that he's not on the air, we can probably get Marcus Walsh to go out and report on a game for Lowco Sports and join us on Lowco Pigskin Live. I know he's going to want to do that. So, all right, boys, parting thoughts before we go. What do you got, Wes?
Yeah, well,
how was your trip, by the way?
Yeah, had a great. Yeah, we'll start there. I had a great trip. Went over to Washington D.C., had a ton of fun, and got to see some family and go downtown for a bit. It's first of all, D.C. is just a beautiful city, and the weather was absolutely gorgeous. Just lower 80s highs in terms of temperature, and just I did a lot of biking and just walking around. And that area near you have all the Smithsonian
National
museums right next to it. National Mall is the term for it. I was trying to think of that. And then the Washington Monument's right there. You got the Capitol on the other side. Just so many things to do. It's such a fun area to explore, and it's such a fun, vibrant community. And you see people from all over the world. It's not just the United States, but people from all over the world come and visit Washington D.C. and learn about our country and just about the surroundings. And just it's a really fun place to take in American culture. And it's always fun to visit there. And like I said, the weather was tremendous, and just just walking around and seeing all, of course, the iconic monuments and all that, but just there's so much more to visit in DC than you would think. You have the art galleries, you have the National Galleries, you have the Smithsonian's, you have the African American Museum, which is tremendous. If you haven't been, that is a tremendous museum over there. If you haven't been there, definitely make plans to visit in the future. But yeah, so many things to do over there. But had a great trip. Stayed over in Maryland, close to Washington D.C., and then used the metro to get in. But yeah, as soon as I got there, I was able to see one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen from a basketball player. My own Stephen Curry, absolutely golden in every way, shape, and form. 4 consecutive 3-pointers to steal that gold medal game against France. And my guy, I've seen Steph Curry do some incredible things in basketball court. I watched a bit of it when I was young. That was before I even went to Davidson, because I was like 11 when he had that from the Elite Eight. And of course, I watched him, especially kept a bigger eye on when I went to Davidson, we did with Golden State over the years, and all of the incredible shots and memories he made. But there was nothing like what he did on Saturday to win that gold. I mean, just incredible closing ability. There was no doubt. You had no doubt that he was going to, and especially after, I don't know if you remember, but he was turning the ball over a ton. I mean, in terms of just the passing ability, he kind of struggled in that game, but he got back to what he does best and hitting those 3-point shots from beyond the arc. And I have never seen a performance like that before. Draining 4 in a row to steal that game, including the last one.
The last one was insane.
In front of Wembanyama. And
insane.
And one of the most amazing photos I've ever seen on a basketball court. Wembanyama right in his face, and he drains the dagger 3. Just incredible. I mean,
I'm just glad that LeBron didn't find your tweet. That's all I'm glad about, because I mean that's straight trolling. That's straight trolling the king right there, Wes. We are all witnesses. The GOAT.
Oh yes.
Think about this though. Think about this.
This was my
about the Jordan people on you.
Think about this. At the start of the 2020, think about the this wasn't a young USA men's basketball team either. We are talking a veteran team.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably the only chance Curry's going to get, unless he decides to keep playing for whatever reason.
Who's going to tell him no? Who's going to tell him no in 4 years?
Think about this. If they decide, if Steph Curry
will be in LA though,
to be in the 2028 Olympics in LA, he'd be 40 years old.
LeBron's done, I would think.
He's done. He'll be 43. Now, right? If he played at USA basketball in LA, he'd be 43 years old, dude. I don't think that's happening.
I mean, man. Yeah, but Curry's game translates a lot better to being able to do it at 40 than LeBron.
I agree.
Does,
I agree. I wouldn't be surprised, like, if he, kept playing. But I don't know if he played for Team USA. That's a really long season at that age. But I wouldn't put it past him.
I think I'd have him on the roster if he's still active, just because he can just be a role guy, be a 3-and-D guy.
Him and KD, because if I'm thinking about this, if I'm thinking about this, KD would be 39, Steph would be 40.
Yeah,
that's right.
Do it.
I mean, you could carry him as the elder statesman, like the captains, the captain's picks. But it is going to be a youth movement in 4 years, and it's going to be interesting to see if the world can close the gap on us in 4 years when we have to make a youth movement, because it got real dicey.
Tell you what, Serbia delivered a heck of a scare in the semis.
So did France.
Oh my God,
France played great.
Germany was right there too.
France for both men's and women's games gave the
United States. That women's game. So I was watching the end of that one while I was at Nationals Park waiting for the Nationals Angels game to start. And I have a story from that game, the baseball as well. But first, man, that basketball game was also insane. And they were lucky that last shot to beat the buzzer just inside the 3-point line, and they end up winning by 1. But good for Aja Wilson. Loved watching her play.
She's amazing.
Absolute legend, superstar. She has a statue of her already over at South Carolina. It's just great to see her dominate and excel on the biggest possible stage. And so huge congratulations to that women's team, and especially Wilson, who has big ties here in South Carolina. But I have a fun story from that baseball game I went to as well with the Nationals against the Angels, and a fun finish as well. It looked like the Nats were going to come from behind to walk it off. They were down 6-0, ended up clawing it back to 6-4, and then they had bases loaded, tying run on second with 1 out, ground ball double play.
Yep. That's a killer.
That was Yepes with a ground ball double play. Just as things were starting to get exciting, you had James Wood, their big power hitter, on deck. He's had a great year for them.
He's a stud.
Yeah. Yep.
Kornheiser's in love.
But
sorry, boys.
That was an exciting game. But the funny thing was actually about a different thing that occurred during the game. There was a foul ball hit that went over the third level of the ballpark, took a few bounces into the press box, and one of the reporters of the Washington Nationals caught it.
Oh, that's crazy. That's insane. That's hilarious.
I hope he got a good cheer.
Yeah, he got a great cheer, great ovation. And see if I can find his name. But he was on Twitter.
Nothing better than a day
at
at the ball yard.
He tweeted about it. If I can get his name out there, but great ball game. That's a fun ballpark. It's actually right near the water, right near the river over there.
The Potomac.
DC. It's a underrated ballpark. It's a lot of fun.
It's on my list. I have family up there, and it's never worked out that they've been in town when we've been in town. But I'm gonna get it done. I'm gonna get to a Nats game.
But
for sure.
that was a good one to get to, and trying to find the Mark Zuckerman at Mark Zuckerman on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
he was first foul ball. He said it was the first foul ball that ever reached the press box. I'm not sure about that because there have been a lot of games over there at Nationals Park over the years, but certainly maybe the first one that he has seen that bounced right over there from laying on that third upper level and somehow found its way in the press box.
There's probably somebody in that press box who's been in there for every single game there and said, that's the first time it's ever happened. So maybe it has.
Hey, they've only been there since 2005.
Yeah, so it's conceivable.
Yeah.
Max, you got anything to share and tell before we go? We're way past time, but who cares?
Well, I don't have a lot, although I did just get excited because
I got 2, so if you don't have one, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I was paying attention to the fact that the Patriots gave away Matthew Judon to the Falcons, so I had to look up the details for that. So Pro Bowl defensive end going to the Falcons, Wes. Other than that, I mean, there's not a lot going on. I'm just ready for football season to begin, man. We are 2 days away.
Unfortunately, JJ McCarthy off the season.
Yes, I did see that. That's so unfortunate because he was actually looking really good through preseason. From what I saw, from some of the clips I saw, he was looking pretty good. And that's just unfortunate meniscus tear. So we wish him the best of luck. On surgeries and whatever he needs to end up having done. And we hope he'll be ready to go. Hopefully by next season.
It's good to have that first year to kind of understand the offense and to stay on the sidelines and be a part of the team in a different way. And maybe it's kind of could be a blessing for him in that Vikings team going forward when you have the full year opportunity to get to learn that system under his belt. And obviously it's tough when you lose the opportunity to see what he could do as a rookie, but at the same time to have that opportunity to watch from afar. Mahomes kind of in a way, although Mahomes, it was a different situation because
he wasn't hurt, but he sat
right. He wasn't injured, but it's kind of a similar scenario where he's able to oversee what goes on for a year and then step in.
It's worked twice in Green Bay.
we got we got high school football starting this weekend, and then, believe it or not, week 0 for college football is next weekend, man.
Yeah, we had a game like in overseas in Ireland, or is it?
Yeah, they're playing Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Georgia Tech in Dublin.
Dublin, yeah.
See, that made sense when Notre Dame was involved. It doesn't so much make sense when it's Florida State and Georgia Tech.
Yeah. That's an ACC. That's an ACC conference game matchup. That's at a neutral
I think
site.
it's wild to open the season with a conference game too. I just think that's insane.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
All right, I got a couple to share and tell. Both local. My new employer just approved tonight. Apparently, new digs coming for the Canes of Hardyville.
Look at that.
Getting our own turf field to match what they have over at Ridgeland. Nice field house. So super exciting news
for
Hardyville High School. Look at that. That's beautiful.
That's cool. I like that.
We've already got good baseball and softball fields, so this will be a great addition over there. And the gym, as everybody knows who's been in it, is one of the best in the Lowco. It's just awesome. Can't wait to have games in there again this year. It's going to be so fun. But yeah, looking cool over there. And then I got one other thing to share and tell because it is definitely worth sharing and worth celebrating. And that is Nick Pringle. The Trays for Trey organization with a back to school supply giveaway August 31st, 10 to 1. They're going to be over at the Busby Street Community Center in Columbia doing a back to school giveaway. So love to see Nick doing big things in whatever community he happens to be in at the time. Obviously, he does a lot for the kids in Beaufort and Seabrook, but also now, giving back to Columbia now that he's a Gamecock and helping out kids with the back to school supply giveaway. So proud of that dude, man. He's doing very well for himself, and looking forward to seeing what he can do with this last year of eligibility and then what lies, next for him in his journey. So, well, hey, fellas, it was great to have the whole crew back together again tonight. Welcome back, Wes. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, great. I'm so pumped because, this is now we're really starting to get into high school football. It is back, start on Friday, and just talking about it makes me just so hyped to get back on the sidelines and
just saying guys' names. Just saying guys' names get you excited. It's really cool. So I can't wait to get out there Friday night. We'll have all the games covered for you, and we'll be back Friday night, 9:30 p.m. is the plan. We will adjust it if necessary.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm trying to think. I believe women's golf starts tomorrow as well. I think Hilton Christian Academy playing Hilton Head Prep and women's girls golf. I don't know where they are.
I believe that's
but girls golf starts tomorrow as well.
They're at Port Royal.
Very nice.
Yes, that's
and Hilton Head Prep has a volleyball game at Savannah Christian as well. So, a couple things on the schedule tomorrow, but we'll be back Friday night, and it'll be Lowco Pigskin Live, tentatively rolling off at 9:30, and we'll get you the results as soon as we can get them to you after these games. So it may be, just one of us starting off, saying the scores and going live to the other guys. But we'll take it as it comes, and we'll bring you all the scores, highlights, and stats that we can round up Friday night on Lowco Pigskin Live. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks so much to all of our sponsors and to all of you who showed up to listen or watch. If you're watching us on demand, remember to join us live at 9:30 p.m. Friday night. Don't wait and watch it later like a square. Watch it live with us. Stay up late with us. So until Friday night, for Wes Kerr and Max Arraj, I'm Justin Jarrett. Until we see you next time, go Lowco.
The Lowco Sports Lowdown podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing.